Recording now. Welcome to YouTube interviews, the effects of the COVID-19 virus on the arts and beyond. My name is Brian Murphy, and I would like to welcome, we have a special guest today I've known for many years, Kim White. She is the founder and artistic director of DanceWorks Ballet Academy and the DanceWorks Ballet Company. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. So I want to start off by talking to you about maybe some of the adjustments you've had to make since this all started. What's going on over there? There's a lot of tension going over there. What's going on, like the government? Some things people have been infected. You know, how you guys have been dealing with that, and how your kids have been adjusting to this, I would call new life, so to speak.
Yes. It has been interesting because it came so quickly. In the matter of a few days, we went from a normal life to, oh my goodness, we should probably be concerned. They're talking about shutting down everything, and it really moved very quickly. And it took all of us a few days to figure out, what we were going to do. We actually had to lock doors, and we're pretty much given 24-hour notice, or even less than that. So, my job as director of this program is to keep our students motivated. They've worked so hard, and, many of our students have finally achieved some nice things in life, like, going to School of American Ballet, being accepted into the School of American Ballet. And, we've got to keep our training up for that. Or the Paris Opera or the Royal Ballet School. So we have kids going all over the place. So we need to keep them motivated and excited about their future.
Well, let's talk about that, because, Kim, we've talked a little bit about, you're in the studio, the motivation becomes a little easier, isn't it? But when you're in your little flat over there, how do you keep that motivation up on these kids? What have you done to continue that motivation?
Well, in London, everything is small and quaint. Our homes are 200 years old. Our rooms are small because the rooms were built to keep heat in. Small rooms kept the heat in. So, we've been able to, we have to be able to work within these confinements, these restrictions, I should say. And so I gave it a lot of thought. We all took a few days off, which was brilliant, because
a good thing to do, wasn't it?
Think about how we were going to. Yeah, we had to think about how we were going to continue this. And I thought, well, there's so many things that I don't have time to teach in the classroom. Mm-hmm. We just don't have time, so I send out letters to the students, daily letters about working, on little things like their fingers, their hands, they should be sculpted. We should be able to see them. Working with, holding their arms through their back, working on their core, doing Pilates ballet, things like this that we don't have time. So I thought, well, I'm going to construct a point class and a men's class. It's 90 minutes long, and it's about learning to dance on a dime. I mean, we don't have time to do that.
I love that. That's a great idea.
I was especially motivated that so many of our students, it's very expensive to fly to all of these schools, these wonderful summer programs, and audition. And so the video audition links, for 14-year-olds are things like they want to see 16 fouette turns on point, and penché, perfect penché, and things that, a lot of people struggle to do. So I thought, okay, well, this is the time that I'm going to be teaching all those things. We're in a restricted space, 32 fouette turns should be executed on a dime. So the class is really focused on learning the strength that it takes to do one perfect pirouette, learning the strength that it takes to do two perfect pirouettes, learning the strength to do two fouette turns, and landing perfectly in the exact same position. So, that's where we are at the moment. And so the class is constructed. So let's say if we're doing, passe into fourth, double pirouette into a fouette turn, landing perfectly into fourth. They have 8 counts to hold and prepare for the next side so that, they can readjust themselves if there is some kind of a movement. So actually, it's been so successful. And the kids have learned so much, teaching them where a penché comes from. We don't really have time. We explain it so quickly in a class, so it's really troubleshooting. And actually, for me to sit and look at each student doing a penché and leading with their arm, I don't see that in a classroom. There's so many people in front of my face that I don't have time to sit back and say, well, you look like an elephant with a trunk. No, hold the arm. It comes on your sternum. That reaching out doesn't reach out with the arm. It reaches out from the sternum. There you are. You're holding it straight, and that's what tips. So for me, as a teacher, I'm finding this time invaluable, and our students who do. All of our students do a half a kilometer run as fast as they can in proper running shoes. Then they do Pilates by Murphy. And then they do my
who could that be?
10-point class. And then they do one of the academy classes, which is bar related.
Kim, this is phenomenal, and I think you've been teaching how long? I remember you now. It's long time. there's a reason why I asked you this question. Okay, remind me. Okay.
It would have been in the late 70s, I would think, maybe 79 or something like that. I had my first job as a ballet dancer, and my mother lured me to teach kids.
Well, your mother, we both, yes, Miss Nan, yes.
There you go.
Okay.
But she paid me $100 cash each class. So on my one day off, I think I taught either 2 or 3 classes on that day. And I started to get into it because they liked my mother's classes. They loved my mother's classes, and they didn't like my classes.
Well, I just want to refresh. I enjoyed your classes. Okay, but it may not have seemed like it, but I enjoy your classes as much as Miss Nan's classes too. But I will say the reason I asked you the reason why I asked that question is because as I'm listening to you, and you've created this curriculum, okay, and your curriculum you've been working on for 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is, knowing it or not knowing, but here you've created it virtually.
Yes.
When this is over, how is that going to change the way you teach?
Oh, it's so interesting. Our curriculum actually is, I wrote the curriculum, and we call it the International Ballet Curriculum. And it's really all the greatest teachers from around the world. It's their input, from my mother to Marcia Del Wary, but also to people like George Balanchine. If you remember, I took his class for many, many years. And so I just took the best of what they all had, and I put it together. And I know now kids are very visual. In our day, we thought, we had to think, and we used our mind, but kids don't do that anymore. And so they're very visual. So all of our teachers really dance with them. We do a lot of demonstrating. but perfect. We explain, we have visual explanations, like you're in a susu. I want to see 1 foot and 2 heels. And I'm only seeing 1 heel at the moment. So the mirror is not a dirty word as it is in some, schools. They say, don't look in the mirror. We say, look in the mirror,
See what you're doing. Yes.
The diamond. If I see a little diamond, I know that your knees are not pulled back. So we teach in a very visual way. And I know now I'm going to be looking for all these things I've overlooked being in a classroom and having these hordes of people in front of me. It definitely will change the way I teach going forward.
And here's as we start to finish up this up here, because this is when you do start going along and you start getting back in the studio, all this work that you're doing now, are you going to continue this virtual work and in addition to the work that you're going to do in the studio? Because the value of this, in my opinion, Kim, as you've done this, is almost an equal value of what we do in the studio. So how do you see this fluid transition into the studio training and the parallel, the virtual training?
It's interesting because I had actually looked at a device in New York City when I was there at Christmas. And it was a screen that you buy. It looks like a mirror, and you can teach people from around the world. And actually, a girl from New York City Ballet, she's the one who, I can't remember what it was called. And I looked at that and I said, this is what our future of teaching is going to be.
Yes.
And DanceWorks is being an organization that's been around. It's the steps of London. And so it's been around for a very long time. And I said, this is what we should be doing. And we had kind of looked at it and considered it as something, that we were going to implement in the future. But I think now we will definitely implement this.
Yes, it's called the mirror. I know what you're talking about.
It's called the mirror.
It's called the mirror. I've actually considered calling them up and being part of representation of them here at my studio, because I can bring it here and I can do classes for them, because it's the way it is. It's the way it's going. In fact, more so now, we were pushed into this scenario because you can do performances, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. So, Kim, the last thing here, it sounds like you have really gone into this as almost a positive. You've come into this as a positive. This is what we're going to do. When somebody's watching this from another studio who's struggling and they're trying to get the motivation, or what would you say to them? What do you want to say to these people who are really struggling along, trying to get the kids motivated?
I would say reach out. There's so many people here in London, really all over the world, that are there to help each other. We're a small world, or a small part of the arts community, really, because there's so much going on. There's so many sectors of the arts. But, the ballet, we're here to help each other. I say, get in touch with me, get in touch with, the contacts that we have around. There's so many classes that you can take. The Royal Ballet, my co-director is a dancer with the Royal Ballet, Erico Montez. He sent me some of our students' classes from the Royal Ballet, the company class. So I think, there's so much around. I just think we all need to open up and communicate all of this knowledge with each other.
If anything, Kim, it's almost like we're all saying we're not in these boxes anymore. It's almost like all the walls have opened up.
Yes.
And not that it just, we've opened up to each other. You see it everywhere online now. It's very encouraging, actually.
Yeah. Yes,
and
it is.
It is. And the questions about where that's going to continue after all this is over. I just think this is the new way now, and this is a new life now. This is how we're going to live, and it's encouraging. There's encouragement there.
It certainly is.
Yes.
It certainly is.
And you know, I really appreciate this conversation, Kim. We haven't talked for a while, and this was really encouraging to hear some positive optimism, because you've really, I mean, you got a great program here. We might have to talk a little bit more about how we could implement it in mine. You know, this is something that I would love to talk to you about, actually.
Well, yours
I've
has
learned
been
a lot.
wonderful. Your classes, because parents have been doing it with their children, and they've said, "We love Brian's classes. Thank you."
I love it.
So much.
Good. That's a little variety.
Because you are part of the family's life here as well, which is really nice.
I love that. Well, you know, I'm just going to say this is Kim White. She is the founder and artistic director of DanceWorks Ballet Academy and the DanceWorks Ballet Company from London. Thank you very, very much, Kim
Thank
White.
you, Brian.
I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.